Hey everyone, happy 2026. I have been off of social media for entirety of 2025. Maybe I posted one YouTube video, if I'm not wrong, but it's good to be back. I am officially not a content creator, so I don't know how often I'll be creating videos. For me to dive into this video, I think you guys need a little bit of context about who I am and what I do. I am Maitri. I'm a designer, illustrator, creative director, creative lead, depends on who I'm working with. And I've been working in this industry for more than 10, 11 years now. Damn. I've worked with a lot of creative individuals and brands like OnePlus, Adobe, FIFA, Budweiser, etc. And it's been a really amazing journey so far. The one thing that is really interesting that I also feel is very intriguing is that I have officially done it all. I started as a part-time freelancer when I was in college. I then joined a small design agency for 2 years. Then I went freelance and then I started my own studio. And now, for the first time in my life, I have a corporate job. It's actually been really fun. The one thing that I promised myself when I started this journey was I want to try it all. Because if I don't, then how am I going to know what I like and what I don't like? And I don't want to keep things at what if or maybe there will be a time and not now or whatever. But let's just dive into a thing and challenge myself to it. And I know that I have the ability to adapt. And if not, then I'll learn. But so in this case, if you guys are looking forward to changing from a freelancer to starting your own studio, going back to a corporate job, or maybe after a design agency job you want to go for freelance work, I'm gonna give you some of my advice. And if I was talking to Maitri 10 years ago, this is what I would do. I'm on my bed so I can get comfortable. Do you guys know my favorite color is blue? Actually, it's blue with orange, but blue is my favorite color. I think I'll start with the most glorified of it all is the freelancing gig. I think I've done the freelancing gig for the most amount of time in my life so far. Freelancing is one of those gigs where it is glorified for a reason because it gives you freedom. And as most people in the design or creative world, we want to look at our job or the work that we are doing, which might have some freedom for us to express. And I think freelancing does that the most. When there are pros, there are cons. Let's go through them. I think freelancing gives you the most freedom to express yourself. I think for me, freelancing was the best era of my life where I have truly enjoyed working as well as learning when I was just growing up. And it was really good for me to just grow as a designer. Con was there wasn't a lot of people I could look up to, and it was as if I was working all alone, because you cannot go up to a senior who's sitting right next to you and be like, I have this issue, can you help me solve this? So you're basically all on your own, which is also not good for your growth, and hence there is a solution for this, and I'll come to that. The other pro for freelancing is that you can choose how much you earn. This can be a good or bad situation, but the good thing is you can always say yes to or negotiate towards more higher price point. And there are going to be situations where you are not going to earn as much as you want. So freelancing is pretty dicey. If you are pretty confident with your network, the people you communicate with on regular basis, your tight-knit group that you work with, that your day-to-day survival needs and a bit more can be guaranteed, I think freelancing can be really good for you to explore more and go above and beyond for it. For the cons that I was talking about is growth mainly, and growth can be the business perspective of freelancing, which not a lot of people talk about. How to earn more, right? Or how to charge more, how to write up a contract, or how to negotiate. I don't think a lot of people talk about this, and even if they do, it's not a lot of detailed information that a lot of people talk about. The one thing that helped me grow as a freelancer, at that point I was so lucky to have mentors. Those are the same mentors I still have. I'm truly so happy that I got really good mentors when I was starting out and I was a freelancer to help me understand how the business side of freelancing works. The few things that would help you grow is join communities, go and take workshops, randomly sign up to any courses, any design lectures, any podcasts that you can go through, even if you feel like it's gonna be worthless, even if you don't follow the people that are on the panel and their views you don't accept at all, it's still worth it. At least you start to sift down your perspectives and your morals in the industry and the way you work work, and the more you see these things, it's better as a freelancer to grow. Most of the people that I've worked with, I've hired, all have been hired by, are through networks. Let's say if I am hiring, I'll always go through the network that I already have, rather than actually going on LinkedIn and searching for a stranger. That would be my step 2. Like, be in the network, be in the close contact of people who meet regularly in the design industry around your area. It can be online or it can be physical meetups that usually happen, but that is something that I'm so happy that helped me when I was a freelancer. And there is no excuse that if in your area these things doesn't happen, start it. Be the person who actually hosts these things. The second I would love to talk to you guys about is corporate world, or a 9 to 5 world, or joining an agency or a studio as an employee, and not a founder, as an employee. I've done the 9 to 5 in an agency and a studio, as well as now I'm doing it in a corporate world. It's so different. Again, it depends on the culture that you have in the company. I feel now that I'm in my 9 to 5 in a corporate world, I feel it makes you a bit more productive. I was anyways a little bit more productive person, but I procrastinated a lot as well. But my procrastination and productivity never had a schedule or a routine, which now I do. And it's interesting. I never knew I could actually work every single day from 9 to 10 a.m. to 5 or 6, and I never knew I could have this routine or this timeline for productivity. But this was like a new skill to adapt. And okay, so pros and cons of a 9 to 5. I remember in my agency days, I used to work longer hours and wear a lot of hats. I don't think I want to complain about that, because that kind of worked in my favor, as I got to experience everything from branding to illustrations to exhibition design to many more things. And I think because of that, I could actually choose what I want to be and how I want to work and which industry I want to work. So it kind of worked out in my way. And in an agency and a studio, I think a lot of designers would agree with me on this, is it's brutal if the work culture is not good. The most I have grown in my entire 10 plus years of journey in this industry, I think I've grown the most when I was working in an agency and a studio, because I was working so much. I enjoyed the people I worked with. It was amazing. And it was so many things that I was working on and off, that switching my brain on and off depending on what I was working on, and switching the context and learning how to do this with the softwares, it was amazing. It was thrilling at certain points. But yeah, there can be cons of agencies or studios not being ethical, and yeah, that's like a bad side of this design world that I have seen other people go through and other designers go through. Yeah, that can be a pro and con when you're working on an agency. That the same thing kind of applies to a corporate job. Right now, I'm working as a creative lead at Big Basket and creating a design team, a visual design team with our product lead, Mayur, and it's been amazing so far. I love the team that's there. It's like from creating visual languages to guidelines and exploring new illustration styles, new navigations, and it's been just fun. It's not even been a year now here, and this is the longest time that I've worked with one brand, and I always wanted to do that, because as a freelancer or as a studio owner, I've always worked in projects. Even though I had like long-term clients for years or 2 years or even 6 years, I've had one, you are always a part of like a very small batch of work that company usually gives you. So you're never into the heart of the company, because you're always an outsider, you're always remote. And I always wanted to know how this would feel like, because there are brands that I've worked with as a consultant for 3-4 months. Still, I was an outsider with my team. I was never a part of that brand. Would I ever be able to be a part of a brand and take major decisions in the visual language of the product that I'm working on? And right now, that's what I've been doing. Other than that, the cons are that if you don't feel creatively satisfied, which a lot of people do in corporate jobs, then you might not be able to feel satisfied with the work that you do. And as freelancers, you can jump from one project to another with like doing illustrations or photography and stuff. You can't do it in a corporate job or an agency job, because you're stuck to one hat a lot of times. So finding a good workplace with good manager, good designers is definitely important, because that is going to directly affect your satisfaction levels as a creative designer, illustrator, photographer, whatever creative industry you're working on. And after this, I'll go to the topic of building a studio. I think a lot of people jump from freelancing to building a studio as that feels a very next natural step, and it definitely is, because at that time when I started a studio, I was working with so many freelance designers because I started to get fewer clients but big clients for a longer amount of time, and I needed like specialist designers, and I needed specialist designers long term to work with me on the specific brands that we were working with. It was big projects, big money, and I'm like, I would love to work with people that I always look up to, and I would love to hire them for this specific thing that we are working on. And for example, I was getting a lot of illustration projects where they were asking if I can do mixed material illustrations, which is 3D plus 2D. And I love doing 2D plus 3D, but I am set into my Adobe Illustrator Dimension 3D effect. And at that time, it was really amazing to get someone else to collaborate with you. And I was anyway spending a lot of money and time with different designers and constantly hiring them. I was like, you know what, let me just start a studio where I have these resources whenever I need it. If we are getting big projects, that means like higher satisfaction for the client level as well, and quicker, because I don't have to spend more time in hiring for different designers for every different project that I was working on. So hence I started a studio, and it was really fun. And a lot of times I would just work with my friends. It was so fun. So what was the cons? Because I was the founder, I was the face of the studio. A lot of people came to me for my specific design and design style. And it is really difficult for you to be available for 12 different projects that you're working on, every single step of that project, because you are you and you don't have that much amount of time. And when you have other designers, you also want to be respectful to their ideas as well. So I was working as the face of the brand with my style, as well as the marketing person, as well as going outside doing podcasts, which I love doing speaking events in different parts of the country and outside the country, and it was fun. It took a lot of energy out of me. My brain was always on. That was the main problem. Solving that took me a long time. But yeah, it was actually really fun. And I loved working on so many different projects and so many big brands. And it was so eye-opening at that point. And that was the first time that I actually saw other people tackling issues and tackling problems that we had to solve, and how difference in creative perspectives can get solutions in a very different way. I have seen a lot of designers who feel the same way as well, that as a freelance designer, you earn way more than you do in a studio. And again, like, it also depends on the kind of studio you're running, the kind of designers you're hiring. If you're hiring expensive designers, you want to pay them really well. It's a journey. And as someone who is kind of dense about business and very much into design and fine arts, it was a journey for me to learn about how to run a studio business-wise rather than the creative-wise. I think I completely solved the problem of being a creative lead in a design studio. Was much easier for me than to be a business manager for my studio. And that's something that took me more time to learn. I think 2025 was a very different learning experience for me, where I learned a lot about how to do strategy and research long term for one brand and how it affects the journey of that brand. It's been really fun so far. Looking forward to my 2026, where I would learn something even new. Would love to know what your goals are. Are you guys going to learn something new? For me, I'm trying to learn Blender. Hopefully that goes really well. I did one piece in Blender, which is this one. Go and check it out. But yeah, so far it's been fun. See you guys later. Bye.